data with 3 new apps. Watch more with PlayGlow. Share more with Sportsmax. Read more news with Loop. Listen more with D-Music. Plus extra data. It's simply more bundled together. 51 gigabytes for 7 days for only $2,000. Live the experience with Digicel. Activate today on the My Digicel app.
This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaiser Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good evening. Welcome to this evening's newscast on Kaiser Radio. I am Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. Guyana is being sold a gas to shore project by its administration, but revelations are illustrating an increasing price tag. Former Trinidad and Tobago Minister of Energy Kevin Ramnarine, in a recent discussion on the project, disclosed that the pipeline alone will cost the country some $800 million US. But, and I quote, the more important facility would be the facility which is to condition the gas or to fractionate the gas. This, in essence, refers to a refinery-type facility to separate the associated gas which would land on shore, a fraction of which would be used to supply Guyana with an oversupply of electricity. Ramnarine said that the government of Guyana, before forging ahead with the project, needs to determine what is the best way to develop industries that are sustainable and that could create jobs as well. And moving on, coming from Reuters, ExxonMobil Corp expects rising first quarter results across its 3 major businesses, with an at least $2 billion improvement from prices for oil and gas driving profits, the company signaled in a securities filing on Wednesday. The filing, detailing factors that affected the business, showed higher oil prices sequentially lift its oil and gas operating results by between $1.6 billion and $2 billion over the fourth quarter. Natural gas pricing added another up to $700 million to operating profit, it indicated. And moving on, the bulk of the natural gas produced in Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago has to be processed in some form or another and exported as liquefied natural gas, ammonia, or similar hydrocarbon products, since the country's total electricity consumption only uses about 8% of its total production. In fact, the 100% reliance on natural gas for its electricity generation has also since left Trinidad and Tobago in a position where its production far exceeds its peak demand. Former Energy Minister Mr. Ramnarine disclosed that natural gas to electricity constitutes about 7 to 8% of all natural gas produced in the country. The bulk is used to make LNG, which is exported, and that LNG business has been on the main pillar of Trinidad's economy for the last 21 years. And moving on, before any aspect of the intended multi-billion-dollar gas-to-shore project could be deemed a no-brainer, it is pertinent for it to be guided by the requisite studies conducted by ExxonMobil and not ExxonMobil's subsidiary, Esso. At least this is the view given by Dr. Vincent Adams, former EPA director. Many have argued that the government has been moving a bit too fast and should slow down at least until a thorough plan or proper studies are conducted, since the location was identified prior to an environmental impact assessment being conducted. Vice President Bharat Jagdeo announced that 4 studies would be done. However, what was not disclosed by him was that it was Esso conducting the studies. And moving on, a 68-year-old pensioner of West Coast Berbice who lived alone was found murdered in his home with chop wounds about his face, torso, and arms yesterday by police and relatives. Dead is Surajdio Deochand of No. 3 Village. Relatives of the dead man said that they received a call around 17:30 yesterday informing them that Deochand was chopped up in their home. A nephew who did not want to be named said that his uncle's body was taken to the Fort Wellington Hospital, and when he arrived, he saw him wrapped in a sheet on a stretcher. And moving on, a 40-year-old fisherman who was arrested for reportedly chopping a man several times about his body in the company of his brother following a row over money was yesterday released on $300,000 bail after he was charged with attempted murder. The defendant, Joel Marks of Dartmouth Essequibo Coast, appeared in the Mabaruma Magistrates Court before Senior Magistrate Sunil Scarce to answer to the charge. Marks was not required to plead to the charge, which alleged that on March 22nd at Kamaka District, he chopped 27-year-old Christopher Bridgemohan of Kamaka Waterfront. Magistrate Scarce then granted the man bail, and the matter was adjourned to May 18th. And to wrap things up, let's tell you that the Ministry of Health today reported 57 new COVID-19 infections, increasing the case toll to 10,249. 12 patients are now in the COVID-19 ICU, another 13 in institutional quarantine, 59 in institutional isolation, and 849 in home isolation. Additionally, a total of 9,098 persons have recovered to date, with 100 new recoveries recorded yesterday. And with that, we've come to the end of this evening's newscast. I am Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening. Coming up at exactly 19 hours 20 or 7:20 p.m. is the Glenn Lal Show. Tell it as it is.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaicho Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds